Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessToTrade.com nightly wrap-up show. If everybody is doing well, guys, do me a favor, take a moment out, support the channel. If you like what we're doing, you get your nightly fix. All I ask is take a moment out, click a like, support the channel, and again, I will continue to try to point you in the right direction on a day-to-day basis. Again, nobody's here trying to predict what's going to happen a year from now, a month from now. Every day, the research is based on the previous night's close, not what we think is going to happen 6 months from now. Again, it's all about taking data and acting on that data when it confirms, not having an opinion, because opinions mean absolutely nothing. So a few things, if you go back to last night's video, we knew a couple of things, right? We knew that the Qs closed below the 5-day moving average. That's 2 days in a row. Again, if you are brand new to the channel and joining us here for the first time, the 5-day moving average, I don't know how many people actually use the 5-day, but the 5-day moving average, I've been using it for ages. It represents short-term sentiment. It doesn't mean a macro trend. It's just short-term sentiment. Whoever has control of the 5-day probably will have control of the next day until the contra reclaims back the 5-day. So we knew that the bulls were giving up the 5-day the last couple of sessions. We knew that Tesla needed to reclaim the 5-day to potentially stretch. And we also knew that the market for the last several weeks has been tired, has been drifting lower. So these are like all the components. Again, if you watched last night's video, were coming into play today. And we're going to tackle each thing individually, right? So the Qs today, if you are a believer of technical analysis, and like I said in last night's video, and you believe stocks go from supply to supply, then stocks will go to demand. So we lost the 5-day, we lost the 10-day, and we traded all the way down to the 20-day support. The 20-day support gave the NASDAQ a nice little hickey today of 1.5%, or 315 points, right? So that's kind of an important thing. We also knew going into yesterday's session that every stock was drifted, right? Drifting. And the only one, and again, for all you guys in the webinar today, we pretty much played this day out word for word at Morning Strategy. I said I had no interest of literally having any interest on the long side today. And I thought the only stock that could potentially stretch and expand in the morning was Tesla. We'll get to that in a second. So here we are, right? Here we are. We sold off here 1.5%, right? We know that. We know we're below the 5-day. We know we're below the 10-day. And we stopped today at the 20-day moving average. Here is the bullish case, and here is the bearish case. Your job is to figure out what it is. I'll give you my opinion, right? So the bullish case is every single time the bulls were put into danger, right? And had potential feet to the fire. What happened in the next couple of days? We rallied right back. And a lot of traders, a lot of investors, a lot of bull market newcomers are feeling pretty good about themselves, because that's basically what's been happening since the April bottoms. If you see here, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. So we got down to the 20-day test. Actually, let's go back. Let's go through a little history lesson. The first time we got down to this area here, which is the 20-day support, okay, was on April 30th. And what happened? We bounced. The next time we got down to this 20-day support was June the 23rd. And what happened? We bounced. Here, we just basically gapped below, right? Never got below, but the next day we reclaimed the 20-day moving average and bounced. So here we are again, okay? And as I tweeted this out in the middle of the afternoon, here is where, things play out, right? Not our opinion, things play out. So that's the data. I just gave you the data, gave you a little bit of history lesson. So the question is, going into tomorrow, was today just another outlier event in one of the most aggressive melt-up markets we've had in a very, very long time? Or is this something more, right? That's the key. Or is this something more? Well, you can't be egotistical enough to believe that automatically we're going to bounce tomorrow, right? Even though the market has been telling you we've been bouncing for the last, since April bottom. But again, does that have to happen? Um, we'll see, right? We'll see. But here are the numbers that you have to respect, okay? And these are the numbers going into tomorrow that you absolutely have to respect, because if you don't, you could be going from an outlier event, don't worry, we're going to bounce tomorrow, then holy shit, where's the next support? Excuse my French, respectfully, right? So today's low on the Qs were 568 and a quarter. Everybody see that, right? 568 and a quarter. That is your line in the sand, okay? If this was an outlier event and you got long anything today at the close, well, you have to use 568 and a quarter as your measuring point, as your price discovery, no matter what you're long, okay? Because if we start losing 568 and a quarter at any given point, and there is no defense of the 20-day moving average, again, the whole point of the PS60 theory is understanding the next potential demand zone. Well, the next potential demand zone is 562.56. Again, that is another basically about 7 points from today's close. Will it happen tomorrow? Will we follow through and have another day of selling? Your guess is as good as mine, but I will tell you, I am super duper prepared in case we do. So when you're looking at stocks today, right? When you're doing your research and you're doing your homework, and I'll give you some names to watch tomorrow. But when you're doing your homework and you're doing your prep work, understand this level, okay? Technical analysis is not random. It's not subjective. And I'll show you a perfect example why it's not random or subjective in a second, okay? It's not random. It's subjective. And when it gets confirmed, stock prices usually will follow through. Is there sometimes a delayed reaction of defense? Absolutely. But again, something you need to take as face value. And this is one of the things, face value is technical analysis. So if everything goes right? If everything goes right tomorrow, today's video will be a complete moot point. We're going to start rallying back tomorrow, and everything that got killed will survive, okay? If you don't prepare for tomorrow and we violate today's channel and we lose the 20-day moving average, it's not going to be good, okay? And this is kind of the point where we tell you, be prepared on both sides, right? Will it happen? We don't know, but our job is to be prepared. So going into tomorrow's session, I am 250,000% sell buys. Does that mean it's going to play out that way? Your guess is as good as mine, but that is at least my first thought. And if you look at every single stock, and again, literally, you could look at every single stock, okay? You can literally look at any stock you want, okay? Any stock on the planet today, and it's going to be, if one goes, they all go, right? If one caves in, they're all going to cave in. But I'm going to give you guys some names that I am watching for tomorrow. And again, this could apply to any stock on the planet. Again, I am prepared to the short side, okay? I think that's where the value is tomorrow. But if that doesn't happen, I'm okay. What's the worst case scenario? We buy stocks tomorrow? Ay, Dios mío, scary. Be prepared, right? So let me give you guys some ideas for tomorrow, okay? Circle. Let's start off with Circle. Circle, yes, has been absolutely destroyed, got murdered. There was a pivot today. We'll get to the pivots in a second. It's now below the linear regression line. It starts losing today's channel. It could get down to 27, 28. Remember, the bottom low of the IPO channel is only down to 64. Again, nobody's talking about destruction of equity prices, but again, you can start seeing how the rotation in the stock or money flow out of the stock has been taking place. Look at a name like Robinhood, right? Big high flyer. It kind of mirrors the QQQs. You see how Robinhood has held once, twice, 3 times on the 20-day support? Well, what happens if it loses the 20-day support, right? That's the point. We have to watch. Look at Reddit, for example, right? Another really, really big high flyer. It stopped at the 10-day moving average today. Now, what happens if it loses the 10-day moving average tomorrow? Look how much room you have to the downside. And that's my point. There's a lot of names. Guys, there must be 10,000 names that look exactly the same. Like I said a few minutes ago, and I'm going to repeat it once again, I don't know if we're going to follow through, But my value tomorrow is I hope we do, just strictly from the value point of view. Again, I don't need the destruction of equities. I don't need them to go to zero. I don't want people to lose their jobs. I'm just being rational and understand that we've been in a linear market. The market doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to go up every single day. And stocks, believe it or not, and if you're sensitive, please leave the room, right? They go up and down, and that's the whole point. So if you're doing your due diligence tonight, and you trade from both sides of the market, you're going to find a lot of value, guys, a ton of value. You could go through even the beta names today, right? Look at Meta. Meta stopped below the 20-day moving average. Watch this thing. This thing loses the 20. There's 10 points in the trade. Microsoft, they got murdered today. Again, we'll get to the pivots. Lost the 20-day. You see the common theme, losing the 20-day moving average? Like, look at Microsoft. Again, take a screenshot, right, of the Microsoft setup before today. You see how it's hugging the 20-day, right? Lost the 20-day, right? That's my point of Robinhood. You see how it's hugging the 20-day, right? What happens if it loses the 20-day? So be prepared. Again, the value for me is to the downside. Whether we follow through tomorrow or not, I have no idea. Worst case scenario, we start buying stocks again. Let's not anticipate. Let's not guess. Let's not try to will our way to the downside. But if we do gap up and we get stuffed into supply and we start losing today's channels, we will be ready. So let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about today's pivots. So this was the watch list from last night. I came in long a runner on Tesla. We got long below the 332 area. 3190s, I believe, was my average cost. We needed it to confirm 336.30s. If you guys remember yesterday, we talked about a lot of call buying. They were coming in for the 340 and 350 calls, right? So Tesla today reclaimed. I mean, everything else was kind of weak. Tesla reclaimed its 36.30 level. I added to my position on the 37 opening range break, and the stock went to 340.50s. Now, why was 340.50s important? And that's where it got rejected. Well, that was where the range was, right? If you look at the range on the August 14 highs, it was 340.50s. Guess what today's high was? 340.50s. Double top here. Kind of sucks, but really good move. Really, really good 2-day move. Congratulations for all you guys who took it, for all you guys who added to the position. Somebody said, well, Tesla didn't work. Well, yeah, it did. That's the whole point. It did. We're not trying to, if you're a professional trader, right, you're not trying to guess the closing price. You're trying to win your interval. So if a stock is trading in channel and channel and channel, the only thing it did wrong today was got stuffed on the August highs. That's it. It reclaimed the 5, it reclaimed the 815 highs, and unfortunately it was a double top here. So again, folks, if you're a trader, be a trader. If you're an investor, be an investor, but you can't be both. You can't be a little bit pregnant. An investor of a stock talking to a trader is like apples to oranges. Again, I speak Russian. I was born in Riga, Latvia, okay? I understand that Polish and Russian is kind of the same, right? But it's totally different. So investor, meet trader, trader, meet investor. We're not trying to figure out the closing price. We're just trying to win our interval. So really good move. Really, really good move on Tesla today. Microsoft 514 short. That was literally the message. 514 short. Microsoft got blasted along with everything else. Here is the 514 level. Microsoft went all the way down to 508. Starts losing 508 tomorrow. It has more room to the downside. Fig, you remember we were talking about Fig yesterday, right? That Fig Newton, whatever it's called, the recent IPO. Well, here is Fig. Fig 75.50. If it builds below, can flush. Again, this is all in last night's video, guys. Again, this is the whole point of being ready on both sides. So it lost to 75.50. Stock went all the way down to $68. It's an absolutely huge move. Congratulations for what you got there. Amazon, obviously, to the upside, didn't confirm. Lyft triggered, and then we went up like 15 cents and kind of died, did absolutely nothing. And the only other pivot that we had was CRWV. 94.70. If it builds below, can flush. Yeah, I would say it flushed. Here was CRWV. So it took out the 94.70, traded all the way down to 88. So we're set up, folks. We are set up. The question again going into tomorrow's session was today an outlier event. All it did was do the same thing that we've seen and demonstrated for the last 3-4 times. We held the 20-day moving average. Are we going to rally back tomorrow? Are we going to finally lose the 20-day? We shall see, said the blind man. We shall see. Guys, have a great night, everybody. God bless, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.